speak today. Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So as I promised in my hair science video, today I am bringing you the ultimate down low on the apple cider vinegar hair rinse. I have tried this in 3 different ways until I found the perfect way to do it. I am so thrilled to be able to say that I have a sponsor for this video. It gives me absolute pleasure to share with you these fantastic Desenio prints. A couple of years ago, I saw a framed print of this lion in a vlog on YouTube. I don't know what it was about this image, but I felt so moved by it and I looked for it everywhere online, but I couldn't find it. So I was so happy to find it in the Desenio shop like 2 years later. There's just something about this lion, his facial expression and the movement of his mane that feels so incredibly humble. So I'm so pleased to now have this image in my home. If you'd like to get 25% off your print, you can use the code IsabellaDemarko, but make sure you're quick because this code is only valid for 3 days and expires on the 31st of October, unfortunately. Not to worry though, some of these prints are really quite affordable just on their own. You don't have to buy a frame if you just want to use it as a poster. Desenio do thousands of prints. They do animals, cities, nature, artwork, they do the classics, they've got a bit of Marilyn Monroe, and they do a lot of abstract art. There's definitely something for everyone and in many different sizes and frames to choose from. It was so hard to choose, but I adore mountains and pine tree forests, so I just like to surround myself by images that I find inspiring and compelling. I also chose this image of a whale. Whenever I am stressing or anxious, I always find comfort in the thought that somewhere in a vast body of water, there's just a whale chilling, floating peacefully. It just makes me feel so calm. You can really make any space look so sophisticated and put together with prints like these, as well as injecting a little bit of your personal style into a room. It's also a very tasteful gift idea. So I actually got one for my mum, so she picked out these cute black lips with a gold frame. A huge thank you to Desenio for sponsoring this video. It's so wonderful that creators can be supported for what we do, and I don't need to tell you guys this, but of course I will only work with brands that I believe are worth sharing. So I hope that you will enjoy Desenio. Back to the ish. So in my last video, we discussed hair pH and water type, and I concluded that my hair pH balance is out of whack, and yours might be as well. So apple cider vinegar, also known as ACV, is known for having so many health benefits, and it's been used for various natural health remedies since ancient Greece. This brown murky stuff is known as the mother. This is where all the good stuff is. And though I found many blogs saying that it's packed with vitamins and minerals, I will say that there were a few articles disproving this. Due to the fermentation process, it doesn't actually keep all of its vitamins, such as vitamin C. However, it does contain natural protein, enzymes, healthy bacteria, and acetic acid. So make sure to shake this up before use, and if your ACV is clear, it means it's been filtered and may not have as much nutrients. So look for raw, unfiltered, pasteurized ACV. Now, I am not a doctor, I am not a hair specialist, so the information that I'm sharing with you today is all self-researched based off of the data collected from 13 articles, 2 specialist studies, and my own first-hand experimentation. I've spent many extra hours trying to make sure that this information is as legitimate as possible, so if that's something you appreciate, please thumbs up the video, and as usual, all the sources are linked below. Now, pay attention to this because this is backed by science. So due to the low pH level of around 3 in apple cider vinegar, it can be used to help close the hair cuticle by lowering the pH in our hair. You may remember in my last video I explained that healthy hair is slightly more acidic with a pH of around 4.5 to 5.5. Well, the International Journal of Trichology released a study on the effects of pH in our hair products. They say that alkaline pH may increase the negative electrical charge of the hair fiber surface. They go on to say it's a reality and not a myth that lower pH of shampoos may cause less frizzing for generating less negative static electricity on the fiber surface. When I read this study, everything just made sense. High alkaline products and hard water types are higher on the pH scale, which causes the hair cuticle to open. This is what causes hair to become brittle and dry, which in turn causes split ends, breakage, and the dreaded frizz, which seems to be my main issue at the moment. So by closing the hair cuticle, ACV is known to help retain moisture, decrease frizz, add shine, increase softness, helps remove product and dirt buildup, which is said to help you go longer between washes. It unclogs the hair follicles, which may help with excess shedding, stimulates your scalp, helps with dandruff, helps soothe an itchy scalp, and can treat scalp infections. Oh my god, my eyelash! They're only Primark. I can't talk today. They're just Primark lashes. Primark. Some people believe that it can also promote hair growth and prevent hair loss. Specialists at the Belgravia Centre, which is a UK facility for hair loss, say that there is no evidence to support this. However, they can confirm its clarifying ability. So it's thought that its clarifying and unclogging effect, as well as its ability to stimulate the scalp, is what leads people to believe that it could put your hair in a better position to grow and shed less. As ACV is highly acidic, it's important not to overuse it, and it must be diluted with water to bring the pH up to around 4 for hair rinses. But the main problem that I found when researching this method was finding the right ratio of ACV to water. People's ratios were all over the shop. Every single article I read said something completely different. This article says 1/3 of a cup of ACV to 4 cups of water. This one says 1 teaspoon of ACV to 1 cup of water. This one says 1 part to 1 part. I mean, personally, I think this is not right, so please don't do this. So I went into my kitchen and I measured out every single ratio I could find online. From this, I could only determine what I thought looked like a sensible ratio to use. Many of the articles did mention that sometimes you've got to play around a little bit to find what works for you. But according to quite a few articles I read, dry hair likes less ACV and greasy hair likes more ACV. So in the end, I went with around 5 tablespoons of ACV in 1 cup of water. This measures around 1 ounce of ACV to 8 ounces of water, so it's about a 1:8 ratio. After this whole experiment, I decided to use even less ACV for my future rinses, and I'm going to tell you why towards the end of the video, so keep watching. So, the method. After shampooing and conditioning, I poured the rinse over my scalp, making sure to saturate all of my hair. You can use it warm, but I chose to use a cold rinse because this is said to help close the cuticle and add shine. Generally, most directions instruct using it at the end of your routine, but some people say you can use the rinse in place of your shampoo or in place of your conditioner because it has both clarifying and conditioning effects. But as my hair is really troubled, I didn't really want to skip either step, so I just used it at the very end. Now, to rinse out or not to rinse out. Almost every article and recipe I came across instructed to rinse out the vinegar, and it seems like the only legitimate reason for this is because of the smell. Only a few articles suggested leaving it in, and to be honest with you, I actually believe leaving it in is the better way to do this rinse. Because water has a higher pH, it just seems like I'd be defeating the purpose of the ACV to rinse it out. And yes, it does smell quite strong even with just the small amount that I used, but it's not noticeable at all when it dries. And I'm going to show you how I fixed the smell in my second attempt. So after soaking my hair, I squeezed it all out. I showered off any vinegar from my body because I didn't want to smell. And then I just let my hair air dry with the vinegar in it. On each attempt, I do exactly the same thing. I gently comb out my hair and do absolutely nothing else to it, then leave it to air dry completely naturally. And for those of you saying brushing wet hair is damaging, it totally depends on how you do it. For curly and wavy hair, it's actually better to gently detangle with a comb while it's wet. So just think about these things before you make claims like this. So as you can see, my hair was still frizzy, still pretty much how it looks like when it air dries normally, but I will say it was a little bit softer and less tangled. However, it just wasn't the effect that I was hoping for. So for my second attempt, I used exactly the same measurements, but this time I used bottled water. I didn't realize this when I bought it, but this one actually has a pH of 7.9, which is higher than I would have ideally liked. I have no idea what the pH of my shower water is, but I know that it's hard water, which means it's anywhere from 8.5 upwards. Now, to help with the smell, some recipes recommend adding an essential oil like lavender or rosemary, or peppermint was also recommended. I decided to use a bit of lavender oil. The recipes just say to add a few drops. I accidentally added about 5 drops, but I found that this massively masked the vinegar smell. Again though, it was pretty much the same outcome as before after air drying it. It was still pretty frizzy, and as you can see, it's drying kind of curly. I think my hair's just changing texture. I don't know what's going on with my hair, guys. Anyway, with this one, I did notice that my hair looked quite a bit shinier, and there didn't seem to be any oil residue from the lavender oil, even though I used more than it was recommended. It also smelled really nice, so I definitely approve using essential oils for this rinse. My third attempt, ladies and gentlemen, is where I noticed the biggest difference, and this was simply from just changing 2 contributing factors. Now, I used exactly the same measurements, but this time I had finally bought a water filter, so I used filtered water to make this rinse. And I also rinsed my hair with filtered water before the apple cider vinegar rinse to make sure I had got rid of any hard water left in my hair. The second factor I changed was Aftercare. Now again, after air drying, it looked pretty much like the same old frizzy, curly mess, but this time I put my hair up in a protective style afterwards. After a few hours, I took my hair out and you can see the visual difference in my hair. Now, I hadn't done this with the other attempts for the purpose of this experiment, but this is actually something I would normally do daily, and especially after air drying. Frizzy girls out there, you will understand the struggle, but it would never look this shiny and sleek after taking it out, so I definitely noticed it was working. Shortly after this, I went to bed, and instead of wearing a protective hairstyle as I usually do, I tried a silk cap for the first time, and this was the result. Okay, I've just woken up after wearing my hair in a silk cap all night. I didn't put it up, I just twisted my hair and put it in there. I haven't even touched my hair yet. This is what it looks like. It looks smoother, man. I never wake up with my hair this smooth. What's going on? So, oh damn girl. Oh man, yeah. There's like a few little, you know, waves in it where I've slept on it, but overall it's smooth. It doesn't smell as much as it did yesterday, but look how shiny it is. Dude, look how shiny it is. I'm so impressed. I think that was the one that like got it. My hair felt sleek, it was glossy, it was bouncy, and the individual strands actually felt stronger. I was really so surprised. It was soft and it was not tangly at all. It was just like a whole new head of hair. So weird. So it definitely seemed like the aftercare played a huge factor in the outcome. And yes, I do use these aftercare methods regularly, and I don't notice results quite as nice as this. So I know that the ACV played a huge part in its glossiness and its texture. It may very well have been the filtered water that made a big difference as well. Also, maybe just the fact that it was my 3rd ACV rinse that week. Now, I wouldn't actually recommend doing 3 ACV rinses in a week, but it was just for the purpose of this experiment. So here's a recap to make sure that you get the best result from an ACV rinse. Please note that if your hair is color treated, you may want to find an alternative rinse or just use a lot less ACV. It's said that because the acetic acid in the rinse is a strong clarifier, it could strip your hair of its color. But I did find another article saying that it's not strong enough to affect your hair color. So I'll leave the articles down below so you can do your own research on that one. Use filtered or distilled water in your rinse. Filtered water is going to neutralize hard water, which tends to be more alkaline. So this will maximize the effect the rinse has on closing the cuticle because it keeps the pH down. And distilled water is actually fairly acidic already because it has no dissolved solids in it. So if you can get your hands on distilled water, that's probably going to be the best thing to use in your rinse. Use your rinse cold. If you can stand it, I'd always recommend to do your final rinse with cold water. It is known to help close the cuticle and add shine, which is just going to maximize the benefits of the rinse. Getting the perfect ratio. Between 1 to 4 tablespoons of ACV in 1 to 2 cups of water seems to be the most agreed upon amount, but to be safe, the main rule is to make sure your rinse is brought up to a pH of 4. I could not test what the pH level of the rinse that I used was. I'm going to update you in the description once I have tested that. Just remember that it's recommended that for dry hair you use a bit less and for greasy hair you use a bit more, but it's worth experimenting because everyone's hair is different. How often to use the rinse? I could not find any scientific or legitimate advice on how often to use it, but most of the articles suggest using it anywhere from twice a week to twice a month, totally depending on how your hair reacts to it. Although I will note that specialists from the Belgravia Center state care should be taken to avoid stripping the hair of its natural oils. Doing so can make the hair appear thin and brittle, leading to hair breakage in some severe instances. So with this in mind, personally, I would use this rinse about once every 1 to 2 weeks. If you are going to use this as much as twice a week, I'd recommend just using a smaller ratio, maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons, 1 to 2 teaspoons per 1 cup of filtered water. And if you have short hair, I would just divide this in half. Another interesting thing I found about hair pH is that the pH of your hair is actually very different to the pH of your scalp. According to the International Journal of Trichology study, the hair shaft itself has a pH of 3.67, whilst the scalp is slightly less acidic at 5.5, which I'm guessing is why the general hair pH is said to be 4.5 to 5.5. Fixing the smell. You know, if you've got your girlfriend or your boyfriend round, you don't want to stink up the shower because it just smells so strong. It's nice to know that you can just add essential oils. And finally, proper aftercare. Protective styles always help in decreasing frizz, and as the results show, it worked particularly well to really show off the benefits of this rinse. So there you have it, practically all of the information I could find on apple cider vinegar packed into one video. Hopefully this video has armed you with a few more helpful facts and just a better idea of how you can approach using it, but remember that it's worth experimenting. If you liked this video, like it, please do subscribe for more. Also, a huge thank you to Desenio for sponsoring this video. Make sure to check out their prints. They are awesome. I love mine. Feel free to share your hair discoveries in the comments. Start a conversation. Maybe you can help somebody out. We're all in this hair journey together. We can do it. We can get nice hair. We can figure this out. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.